Hello, welcome to a 15-minute creative use spot with your host, Catherine Kirby. And today I would like to talk about flying. Yesterday we talked about Fringe. I didn't get either of my projects done. The Eureka cow I had to rip way back. The little hat, I tried fringing on the sides to make like a cute little lion, but the fringe just wasn't working. It wasn't right. And so I tore that out, and I thought I would try to loop it and then cut it, and I just don't think the yarn is right for it. So yesterday I showed you this picture. When I showed this to my husband, he just shook his head and walked away. That one. And I said, wait a minute, come back. And then I showed him that one. He just shook his head. There's some looped fringe. These poor babies, they don't get to say yes or no. This is from Easy Knitting 2002. Somehow I think if you gave any of these yarns to a designer, they could make something really neat. So then my antennas were up about Fringe, and I saw this in a Knit Scene magazine, which was cute. And I mean, really, you could fringe anything, you know, that you wanted to. So I'll be back later with some fringing advice, but in the meantime, for the crocheters out there, just to do a cute little decorative finish for my little child's hat. If you've never done the crab stitch, it's easy and it's fun. So what you do is you do a single crochet. Then you go to the stitch before that and do a single crochet. So it's kind of a crossover. You're not skipping any spaces. In fact, you're actually having two stitches come out of one stitch, but it's very easy. It's not difficult, it's not stressful. And so I didn't want to finish that until I showed you the crab stitch. So what is this about flying? To fly or not to fly? After seeing Fringe, I started seeing it everywhere. Our scissors had a sawtooth edge, and I said to my husband, why are our scissors fringe? Even the inside of the bowl, after making scrambled eggs, looked like it had fringe coming out of it. Now I'll see fringe everywhere. That's not the same as the phenomena I talked about yesterday called the Baader-Meinhof phenomena. That's not the same at all. So you all knew that I was reading a book, a murder mystery book that goes back to the 1850s. I finished it. It was very intriguing, and the end was very surprising. So Detective Monk is following this wealthy family, infiltrating himself into their midst, trying to figure out who done it. Deidre is married to Alistair, the head of the family, and she dresses dowdy. Monk is a extremely well dresser, and he doesn't understand. Plus, he knows there's money missing from the family. So night after night, he walks for miles. He hides behind whatever he can, and he follows her. And believe it or not, what he finds is she goes into this building, and what is she doing? She stares at him, her dark eyes searching his face for ridicule, anger, contempt, or any of the emotions she expected, and finding none, she said at last, a flying machine. It was a remark so preposterous, no explanation seemed adequate. She was building a flying machine. Oh, heavens, no, don't tell my husband. He'll never understand. It's all my own money, she said. Now, when he reports to the police, the lawyer, what he's been investigating, and that he's found out where she has gone, Monk snorted. She's building a flying machine. I beg your pardon. She is building a flying machine big enough to carry a passenger with hope she'll fly, Monk elaborated, in an old warehouse in the slum quarter. All right, she's eccentric. Eccentric, Rathbone said. Is that what you call it? Insane. Enough to lock her up if anyone finds out. 1850. Think about that one. You know, I like to tell you about a short film. If you go to YouTube, there's a short film, and for whatever reason, they didn't give it a name. It just says Motivational Film, Alyce Tzue, and I'll write that in my notes. But it's about a girl that doesn't give up. She wants to make a flying machine, and she doesn't give up her dreams. So, just maybe as a coincidence, in this knitting tradition book, I found socks from 1847. And they're from a journal by Susan Shelby McGoffin. And I've read her journal about being on the trail in their covered wagon. And, you know, they don't look very different from what we might have today. So, I don't know if I expected them to be different or not different or what. But flying does speak to us, and even Moses in the Old Testament, knowing that this world is not the end, said, someday I'll fly away. I got to thinking about baby toys and soft little crocheted airplanes or knitted airplanes would make a great tactile soft toy for babies because they would have the wings to pick them up, and if you do them in cotton that doesn't get fuzzy, they can put them in their mouths. So I found this cute little mobile. Isn't that darling? I love it. And the other one I found, there's all kind of cute little airplanes, but I'm not gonna buy a pattern when I'm sure that I could create it. Isn't that cute? I could just see a baby picking that up. It's hard to believe we used to give baby hard little rattles that they hurt themselves with. And there's the last one, a cute little mobile. But I think I would have made mine bright colors. And I was thinking back to little girls' toys, and I can't imagine a little girl's shirt with an airplane in it. And why not? Why aren't we encouraging girls to fly, right? So there were some patents along the way that got completely ridiculed. Thomas Edison, who had almost 1,100 patents, when he put the patent in for the electric light bulb, was ridiculed. In 1906, it was said that bicycling is dead. It was just a fad. Here today, gone tomorrow. 1899, the horseless carriage, the car. And I never realized that carriage has the word car starting it. They said the horseless carriage will never be as in common use as the bicycle. The telephone, Western Union called it a toy and rejected the rights for $100,000 which Bell bought. And you know the rest of the story. So I'm wondering what all of you could create and invent. Last year, I started reading books about children and schooling and how our current school system is a failure. And the book said that when mandatory schooling went into effect, it was put into effect with shotguns. the application for patents plummeted. Children in school are put in a herd mentality, trained to be consumers, not entrepreneurs. It's a society set up for an elite few who are wealthy and in charge, and the rest of it being consumers. So I just thought, I'm just going to see. So I had twin grandsons, and I said to them one day, I'm going to guess they were about 9 or 10. I said, hey, what if you guys were to look at something differently and invent something? Oh, no, we couldn't do that, right? We couldn't do that. Why not? Oh, we couldn't. And is that what we're doing to our children? You know, I would encourage you someday just to pick up knitting or crocheting and just have at it. Just go. I had read in a book about a woman. She was German. She was very set in her ways, very structured. And she signed up for a class at the Smithsonian, a knitting class. And when she got into the class, she realized it was a non-structured class, a abstract knitting class. She was so upset she wanted to walk out, but she hung in there. Hey, it's just one class. And she got so hooked. And then not long ago, a woman came into the shop and she would do abstract crochet. Someone would give her a photo of their favorite spot. Maybe it was a mountain lake, some green mountain and some blue, and she would just crochet it. She would get textured yarns and smooth yarn, and she would just go at it, and she loved it. I'm thinking, what would it be like to get into the first airplane? Even Wilbur Wright said in, I think, 1903, 2 years before he flew in 1903, he said, man will not fly for 50 years. 30 years later, the 10-seater Boeing 247 made her maiden journey. If I get kind of off kilter about fringe that doesn't work out and I don't want to waste my yarn, imagine what it would have been like to have gotten into the first plane and not been sure of it. I mean, ready, death? Are you ready? I think we need to experiment more and play around, and don't buy all those patterns. Sit and figure it out. Just play around. Remember when you were a child, maybe you don't, when you used to take Play-Doh and draw, and just anything was possible. So today it's not to fringe or not to fringe, it's to fly or not to fly. When I met my husband, he was quite the world traveler back when he was in the Vietnam War, and he would get sent all over the world. And because of that, I thought he felt superior. And I said to him one day, you know what? You don't have anything over me because I've been places in my mind that you've never been. So even if you never get off the ground, you can soar in your mind. With that, have a great day and shine, baby, shine.